Hey guys, I'm Sheldon. I'm a crew chief and drone pilot out of the Gillette office. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about my truck, the loadout, my setup, some general survey equipment, tools and materials that I use daily. So first I'll start out with my gloves. Nothing fancy, just a pair of basic mechanics gloves. I like these because they have good dexterity and I can run the data collector in them, especially the touch screen. I use these basically year round. Up next, I got a couple of gas monitors. One is an H2S monitor, one is a 4-gas monitor. These are important to have for certain clients while on location for safety. Next, I got my survey rod. This is my main field rod. This rod is made to put different survey tools or equipment on here. It's got a threaded tip. You can put either a prism or a GPS receiver on it. Usually a GPS receiver is what goes on this rod. It's adjustable. It's got 3 different places that you can click. It clicks in, and it's good for certain things. If you need to get up a little taller, it's really useful. So if you come in here, you can take a look. It's kind of faded, but it's supposed to say 1.6 M, which means 1.6 meters. And that's real useful for just having a quick height of instrument on your rod. So it's saying from the tip of this to right here is 1.6 meters. So it's easy to know the height of where the base of your instrument is right there. It's also got some numbers on the front. They're pretty faded. This rod gets used a lot, but these are good too for maybe a level, or maybe sometimes I use them for culverts, just to put them up next to a culvert and say, oh yeah, that one's 24 inches, that one's 18 inches. That's nice to have on a rod. Next up on the rod is what's called a bubble. This bubble is super important. It is to make sure your rod is plumb, and so that your instrument gathers accurate data. Because if you're leaning, unless you got like an R12 with that lean software, it's not going to take an accurate shot. Next, I have a bipod. That's what's fixed to this rod right now. You can see it's keeping this rod up. It's adjustable, and you can actually push these into the ground, into the dirt, and make it a stable base for your rod for longer static observations. Sometimes it's very useful if you're trying to gather a lot of data on one point. These bubbles are delicate and they need to be treated with care. It's very important not to be throwing the rod around. We don't want the bubble to get out of plumb. That could cause your data being skewed, and we don't want that. Next, I have a cradle. This is for my data collector. Makes it easy to have the data collector on the rod so I can run it. Next, I got some nails. Let's talk about some nails. Here's some different kinds of nails. This is one of the most frequently used nail. In my experience, this is what's called a 60D nail. It's got a whisker on it, or some people call them a turkey beard or a chaser. There's all sorts of little nicknames for these. Also got a 100D nail and a 90D nail. You can see they're different sizes, different purposes. I like to use the 100D nail sometimes for softer ground, stuff like that. Next, I got a couple PK nails or mag nails. These are super useful when you need to set a nail in concrete or asphalt or hard compacted ground. These nails don't bend as easy. They're super sturdy. You can beat the hell out of them and they don't bend. So these all have their own purpose for different scenarios. Up next, we got some rebar. First one that I have right here is a 5/8 rebar. It's a number 5 rebar. And then this one right here is a 3/4 inch rebar, which is a number 6 rebar. These are very commonly used rebar in the field. You use these to set property corners, section corners, control points, benchmarks, all sorts of things. Up next, we got some monuments. Let's talk about some monuments. A rebar is a monument. Maybe a 100D nail, aka a spike, is a monument, a type of monument. Monument can be a lot of things. It could be a scribe on the concrete, an X in the concrete. Right here I have some government monuments. This monument is from the BLM, stamped 1988. It's a 30-inch steel post on a 3 1/4 inch brass cap. I got a little bit older monument here. This is also a government monument. This is a GLO monument, General Land Office. This date is 1947. Here's a couple monuments that we might set out in the field. This is a 2 1/2 inch aluminum cap. This is a yellow plastic cap. It's designed to fit on a 5/8 rebar. This 2 1/2 inch cap with this sleeve in here was designed to fit on a number 6 3/4 inch rebar. Which brings me to my stamping kit. Right here's my stamping kit. This kit has letters and numbers on it and is what makes the indentations on softer metals like aluminum or brass. This is how you stamp whatever you need to stamp on a monument, on a cap. Next, I got a Schonstedt. This is a metal locator. And like I said, the brand, it's Schonstedt. I've used these basically my whole career. I don't think I've ever used anything else besides the Schonstedt. It's got a bunch of different settings, power levels, sensitivity levels. So the further up you use that dial, the more it reacts to magnetic metals. Right here's a volume knob. And I'll give you a demonstration of why these are important out in the field. So if I were to come up on a monument in the field and let's say it's buried, there's a foot of snow on the ground up here in Wyoming, or maybe there was some sand that covered it. We have a general idea of where the monument lands, and we would come and use the Schonstedt to sweep. And this would indicate where a monument might be within the ground. So these monuments are buried. So like I said, there's a 30-inch iron post. They're buried, they're only sticking out about half a foot out of the ground. So they get buried sometimes. Sometimes in the if a county road goes over it, then they're buried in a county road. And the Schonstedt is super important to help find it. Which brings me to my next tool. This is a spud bar. It's a 16-pound spud bar. Very useful, helps chip away ice or hard compacted ground. Hell, I even use it for asphalt sometimes to find monuments like this in the ground. It's got a chiseled end, but it's also got a tamping end. This is also a tamping bar too. So if we were to set a monument like this, we would dig a hole and then put the loose dirt in and tamp the dirt to make it more firm and the monument more stable. Next, I got a steel post or a T-post. You call them whatever, steel post or T-post. We use these to set maybe next to a section corner like this, or we use them to maybe fix an antenna rod for our GPS setup. We also use them for maybe putting them next to property corners, or maybe protecting a control point, for example. Next, I got a T-post pounder. You put this over a T-post, and this is what drives it into the ground to make it secure. Next, I got my hammer. There's a lot of different preferences people have with hammers. This is my preference. This is a 4-pound engineering hammer. Some people like 3-pound hammers, 2-pound hammers, claw hammers. I use this for basically everything. I love this hammer. Next, I got a bull prick. I hate this thing, but it's super crucial in Wyoming. The ground up here gets super hard. In other places, I mean, I've worked a few different states where the ground is just hard as a rock. And this is a super essential tool, whether you're on compacted surfaces or ice. You pound this in and you kick it out, and then you can put a lath in. You wouldn't be able to put a lath in the hole without this in some parts of the ground. Next, I got a 10-pound sledgehammer. Nothing fancy, just another tool to help with the hard ground up here in Wyoming. Next up, I got a set of legs, aka a tripod. This is one of the most useful survey tools out there. This tripod is important to fix your equipment on top of here, either a level or a prism, your GPS setup, a total station. There's all sorts of things that this can hold, and just helps it be level and stay in place, your instrument stay in place. Come on over here, I'll show you my typical loadout, GPS loadout. So this is what it looks like when I'm heading out to the field. I got my base box, and I got my external radio for my GPS. This is my GPS system, and this is my external radio. We got a 12-volt car battery that powers the GPS system. As you can see here, I got a metal tape measure. We always keep it here in the Gillette office, in every single one of our base battery cases, because it's important to always have it with your base so you can get a height of instrument. So looking at this tape, you can see it's got 10 units for every foot. So surveyors and engineers, for the most part, use tenths. Next up, I have a whip antenna. This goes with my GPS system and my external radio. This whip antenna is crucial to broadcast a signal longer than regular antennas or the internal antenna. So this is super helpful. The longer the better. I fixed this on top of a rod, my antenna rod, which I either pound in a steel post and then strap this antenna rod to the steel post, or maybe a fence. And this rod, see how it extends and it locks in place. So you can get it kind of far up there, and that's super important when you're running external radio. You're running RTK on your base. Sometimes you need to get out there and get some range. Up next, I got a plumb bob. This is a more primitive piece of survey equipment, but still very useful sometimes. It basically helps determine straight down where you would land on the ground in relation to either a tape measure or your instrument. For example, I got one over here that's fixed to a tripod right now. And as you can see, if we didn't have a tri-back, or if our tri-back didn't have an optical plummet or a laser plummet, which I'll get into in a little bit, this is super important to be able to find the center of where our instrument would land in relation to, you know, maybe a control point or whatever relative point we're trying to set up on. So here it is. So the plumb bob, yep. It's got a big brass weight and a string. It just uses gravity to help determine. I don't know if they want a whole lesson on plumb bobs, but basically, you just kind of bounce this thing until it settles down, and pretty much got your point at the center of the instrument on the ground. If you come back over here, sorry, bouncing back and forth a little here. I was just going to open up my bass box, and I'm sure they're going to do a video for that too, but there's my external radio for my, if I'm running RTK. Here's my bass box. This would be my bass unit. This would be my rover. Got some batteries, and I got another tri-brack in here. Super important for these tri-bracks to always be carried in a case. We don't want to drop these. We don't want to be careless with these. We don't want them to be somewhere in the truck where they could roll over and get hurt. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. It can get out of alignment. You could break the bubble. See, these things have a bubble. Yeah, there's a few things you could break. Some plastic. Some of these are kind of chintzy, but super important to take care of these, because the accuracy of your data, it could affect the accuracy of your data. This one has an optical plummet. You can see you stick your eye up to there, and it actually projects, and you can see the point that you're trying to set up on. Which brings me to another form of tri-brack. This is a laser tri-brack. I'll take out this plumb bob. So instead of the optical plummet, this tri-brack has a laser plummet. So I just have a button right here. It's battery powered. Just hit this button, and all of a sudden, boom, it has a laser that shines from the tri-brack to whatever point that we are trying to set our equipment up on. Up next, I got a mag mount. You can see this mag mount has a quick connect nipple on it. This allows you to fix a GPS receiver, maybe other survey equipment, but mainly a GPS receiver. It's got 3 magnets, and it's meant to go on a magnetic surface, such as steel, like a truck. So this truck, the hood is aluminum. So this magnet doesn't adhere to the hood, but it does adhere to the top of the cab here. As you can see, I got this cloth here. This cloth is super important because the magnets are kind of strong and it might scratch up the paint. So it's super important to keep a little cloth in between. But anyways, the general purpose of this is to put a GPS receiver up there, and then while you're driving, you can gather data with the receiver, continuous topo or rolling observations, whether to shoot in an edge of a road, center line of a road, stuff of that nature. I got drone target. Nothing fancy about these. Let's see. If you want to come in here and take a look at some of this box in here, Anthony. Right here I got an assortment of flagging. I got some extra mag nails. I got a 2.5-inch aluminum cap that's kind of out of place. I got some pygmy hubs for construction staking. I got some 60D nails and whiskers. I have some paint, and I have some guard stakes. So there's more stuff I got some towing and recovery stuff, just good to have. I got my shovel. Oh, range rods. Range rods and laugh bag. So up next, I got some range rods or candy canes. They're 4 foot long. Each color is a foot. It's got a threaded tip, so you can fix an elbow for a swing arm, or maybe a prism. These just come in handy. Maybe you use it for an antenna rod. So I mainly use them for doing as-built on pipeline surveys, but yeah. Almost forgot about the Philly rod. This is a Philly rod. It's really beat up. This is my own personal rod. I need to get a case for it, but I use this for levels. There's a bunch of different sections in here, and they clip, so you can run a level loop with these. Laugh bag. Here's some laugh. This laugh bag comes in handy sometimes when there's rough terrain, or when you are at a landowner's property that doesn't permit a UTV. So you just fill this up with lath. It's got extra pockets here for a hammer, flagging, paint, nails, whatever. And it's got a sling here. You carry it.